I call this meeting of the DEIC to order at 5:03. And we need to have roll call.
Got to turn on my mic. Let's see. Committee member Beatty,
Here.
committee member Anderly.
Here.
Committee member Andrews,
Here.
committee member Roshtu,
Here.
committee member Stout,
Here.
committee member Abels.
Here.
Great, all present.
Hey, Kimberly, welcome. Good to see you. All right, so we're on the consent agenda. Do I have a motion? That's what I meant to say. Motion to accept it?
Motion to
Motion.
accept it?
Motion to approve. Then we need a second.
Mhm.
Second.
Okay.
It's passed. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. I think you're next.
Yes, so the chair, vice chair, our code is written that the beginning of the new term, you shall select a chair and vice chair. You guys did that because we'd had some turnover mid. I don't know if you guys want to discuss and keep your same chair and vice chair, or if you want to elect new. That is discussion amongst yourself.
I love all the communication. It helps.
You can't say anything, Kim.
This is when you give us your advocacy speech for yourself.
No, I'm not gonna advocate for myself.
Do we need to make a motion to maintain the current positions?
Yeah, you can do that.
Can I make a motion to keep the chair and vice chair as they are?
I second.
All
Okay.
those.
Kimberly had her
Aye.
hand up.
I was just curious how long you guys have been in the roles, but I'm fully in support of keeping it the way it is.
It's like 3 months.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Also,
Okay.
well, let's say also, Kimberly, I had a impression that you have some experience with this kind of work through your professional career. Is that realistic?
I do have experience, yes, and I'm happy to bring all of that to the table to support this chair and co-chair.
Would you like to co-chair? So,
Nope.
oh, okay, got you. I'm not sure if you've, okay, if you've been around long enough too, but we're just sort of riding out the tail end of some, um,
Yes, I see that.
discrepancies.
I watched that and I don't want that.
Okay, okay. Well, I was ready to throw you under the bus.
I did my city councilor duties already. Thank
Okay,
you.
cool. I wanted to.
Well,
Okay.
we're glad you're a part of us though with that experience because that's helpful.
We still need a vote.
Right.
I didn't
Okay,
catch a vote.
So let's vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, okay. And then Denise Harris Euchre, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, sorry. But she did email and say that things came up in life and life happens and she had to resign from her post. So we do have a vacancy on the committee. The vacancy is posted on the website. If you have friends, neighbors, colleagues, anybody you think would be great and may be interested in serving, they can apply.
Has
Cool.
anyone applied yet?
I don't know. I don't get those. Give me a second and I can look it up.
Okay.
You can move ahead to the next.
Okay, so the community engagement piece of number B there is, isn't that our,
Your kind of committee liaison where you guys had
Oh,
discussed
I
the,
see.
so
Right.
B is the committee engagement, which is your
okay.
kind of liaison. So you
Oh,
had
yeah, the
discussed,
committee. So we were discussing these various, the Arts Commission, Parks and Rec, Public Library Board, Budget Committee, Planning Commission, Downtown Estacada Commission, Economic Development Commission, Traffic and Public Safety. If any of us want to sit as a liaison on those committees, That was
So,
in our
Yeah,
packet.
I want to clarify that it's not liaison like we have the council liaison who sits on the committee. This is, you would be an audience member
Mhm.
and serve as general public, but bringing the information back here, or potentially if they had something on their agenda that you could speak to, doing that, but not as a member of the committee.
Right, right. Sorry, I didn't clarify
You're
that.
not sitting at the desk, you're sitting in the audience.
Yeah,
I can obviously,
arts.
you work with the art, I'm on the Arts Commission.
Okay.
Um, I know I mean, I feel like this, based on some of the recent conversation, that the parks is kind of something has a lot of practicality to it as far as people's accessibility and whatever kind of plans are coming down the pike, that parks are working on. And I have become pretty good buddies with Vincent. So
Oh.
I know him pretty well.
That's cool.
If you'd like me to also sit in, I have a little bit of my own personal interest in what Parks is doing. So I'd like to sit in if need be with
Okay.
those guys.
All right.
So I can cover those two.
So does anyone have any passion for, and it's not like you have to be there in person. You could attend
Yeah,
virtually.
Yeah, just listen in.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested in the parks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, both of you could do that.
Oh.
I think traffic and safety is gonna be do you get along with those guys?
Yeah, I actually do.
Cool.
So I would be willing, that's Tuesday, the
Okay.
fourth Tuesday. Oh, yeah, I could sit in on traffic and public
That's not the
safety.
appointment for me.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know, Moriarty. I met him, so yeah, he knows me. So I can sit on
Well, and
traffic.
the budget is only quarterly,
The budget happens once
once annually.
annually.
Okay.
Yes,
And they don't really want
no.
us hanging around.
I mean, you're always welcome to attend the budget meeting, but you don't really need, I don't think you're going to be bringing back input on the budget, but
Did they fill all the budget committee seats? I had seen an email that went out that they didn't have enough committee members on the budget committee.
we did get enough applications to fill
Oh,
the
good.
positions. They will be appointed at the next council meeting, and then the budget committee meeting is the next night.
Okay.
Is there a council meeting tonight?
No,
Okay,
No.
next week?
it is on the third, yes, next week.
Yeah.
Thank
Yep.
you.
So what about the Downtown Estacada Commission? Don't you think somebody should sit, or
I could do that one,
you want to do
because I
that?
could do that virtually from home.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll put Nicole down for that.
What did they discuss with those?
I mean, it's mostly business owners and property owners downtown, and it's just kind of like economic stimulus and development and
The Downtown Estacada Commission or the Economic Development?
downtown.
Oh, the Downtown Estacada Commission, they do a lot of promotion and event planning. So they plan Oktoberfest, the 4th of July parade, the tree lighting. Yeah, and then they do some promotion. They do like door hangers that you may or may not have seen last year. They'll do that again this year and
Yeah.
With you?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the more representation that we have, the
Yeah.
better. I mean, I think the
Absolutely.
other thing too, because we're sort of honing in on trying to help educate the community at large with how to interact with city government and participate, that the more we're out there and the more faces that you get familiarized and names that the better off we're gonna be. So more is always better, I think, in this
Yes.
situation.
So, so Kimberly and Denise, if there are any of these that you would like to,
I can't, guys. I'm sorry, but I am tapped out. between
Tapped out.
this And what I'm doing at work.
okay,
If I get anything else, I will burn out.
that's okay. Yep,
Do I have the list in a packet somewhere?
you do.
yes,
I see.
it
Okay.
starts on page 3.
Oh, there it is.
Yep, it has the list of the committees. So the only one we don't have a date set for yet is the Economic Development Commission, with the council just approved that commission. It will most likely be meeting during the day. because it's going to be similar to the Downtown Esticated Commission, mostly business people serving on that. So you'll get a lot of, industrial, construction, bankers, those kind of things.
And if, I guess as far as reporting back, we would just, if you have something to report before one of our meetings, text me. I'll pass it on to Elena, or you can email Elena, and we'll make sure to get you on the agenda whenever you have something to present on a
I'd be
meeting.
happy to go to the planning committee meetings.
Great.
That would be great.
I speak that language.
Do we know, since this has been made, when the Economic Development Commission meeting is gonna happen? It says to be determined, but have they, since you made this, have they?
No, yeah, we haven't even created the form yet. So it is brand new.
Would you please let me know? I will be interested.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I thought that might align with your job duties. Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
And our community group outreach is this sheet in our packet
Mhm.
that has all the names of the people that, I don't know, we had this list made a long time
Yes,
ago.
These are old names.
Yeah.
So I don't know if any of these need to be taken off the list. I don't know.
If there were a number next to them or an email, we could contact them.
I do have that. It's just not, I don't want to include it in the packet because then that's publicly available
Yeah.
information and maybe these people did not want their email or phone number to be publicly available.
Yeah.
So if there's contact, if you're planning on attending, let's say you want to go to a Todos Juntos meeting and you need, Shauna's email address, I can provide that to you for scheduling that meeting. I just didn't want to include it as publicly available in the packet.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yep, it's on the website.
After the meeting then, if you want, or I can email you later, because I know there's some of these that they're not even in town.
Okay, no problem. Yep, if there's any people on here that are no longer valid, because we started this like a year and a half ago, so.
Yeah, there are some on here, so should we go over them during the meeting and to change them, or?
Why don't you, if there's people who aren't, you just email me if there's people on
Okay.
here who are no longer valid.
Okay,
Do
I
we want?
I think these organizations are all still existing though.
Right. I was gonna say, do we want to take kind of a broad swath of like 3 or 4 to start with that maybe have a little bit sort of a wider reach as their organizations they are. I mean, Todos Juntos is a good example of that. School board is a good example of that, especially with the bond work that they're doing right now.
Mhm.
And I know, I
You know-
think you guys talked about something that's not on this list is kind of the HOAs and then the, whatever the community organizations that are similar to that for outside the city
The
limits.
CPOs.
CPOs, yeah. So I don't have contact information for a lot of those. And if that's something you guys wanted to add to the list and you have that, you can get it to me.
I have contacts for all the CPOs in the county through work.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
The other one that I think is big that would be great to connect with is Ant Farm and all of the good work that they're doing for us to have a close relationship with.
Denise works
liaison
for
with
Ant
them.
Farm.
Oh, sorry.
You're all right.
It's okay.
You
Oh.
do great work.
Thank you. Thank you.
But you can't, are there?
So what about the HOAs though? I mean, I think really that almost, in my opinion, that almost is a better place to start
Yeah.
because it's really right
Relevant.
here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Do
then
you live in
we can,
I live in Campanella.
Campanella? Okay.
Yeah, I have contact for Campanella and Cascadia Ridge HOAs. So if you want to start with those two HOAs, you guys could start, at seeing if you could get on their next agenda, their
That would be
board
great.
meeting.
that would be great.
Okay,
Do you know how often those happen or we know anything about that? Okay.
do not
That's
know.
this outreach discovery
Yep.
phase.
So you can send me the contact information of those two and then we
Yes.
can give that out to the team and how, so how would you suggest, or how would those of you on the committee suggest that we I had thought, there had been some discussion and I don't know, you might remember, Elena, where this discussion was, but there was some talk about putting together a survey that
Mhm.
would be approved by the council for us to take out to the HOAs that might have questions that the council would want
Mhm.
to get feedback on.
I mean, the council hasn't said anything about they want to send out any specific questions, but if you want, because I know you had submitted some potential questions. If you wanted to include anything in there, we could always present it to the council and see if they have suggestions or want changes.
Okay.
You are not
Well, and-
necessarily required in the code to take it to council for that though. But
Oh.
I think it might be helpful.
Yeah, I think that's something to be sensitive to, is to not make our outreach to the HOA a catalyst for more things for the council to encounter.
Yeah.
Well, because that's been a kind of a contentious
Yep.
subject.
Yeah, so when I looked at, if you scroll down in the packet to page 9, which is the questions that Tammy had submitted. The businesses and industries were actually contracted with Johnson Economics to do a market study. So they're already going to be asking those questions separately. So I don't know that I would include that in your guys' questions. Because they're
Which-
doing that as part of their market study,
It's
which
just
is going
a-
to start within
Oh, I
like the
see.
next.
Any youth, that question?
The businesses and industries
Yes, the
question?
business and industry question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other of these questions that we shouldn't be adding to a? And are there any questions that you all on the committee would like to add to this list?
I would love to rework question number 2 if possible, to use language that's more accepted by our disabled community.
So have, if you have a disability instead of a handicap?
Differently. What would you suggest we replace it with?
She can't hear you probably because your mic.
Your
No, I
suggestion?
can. I'm just thinking.
Okay.
Um,
Maybe special accommodations, if you need special accommodations. Maybe that can encompass physical, mental, a little bit of a broader range of things.
yeah, or yeah,
Or are there any,
So
is there
rephrase,
any,
why don't we rephrase that question first then, before we go on? How would you want it versed, like said, so I can write it out? Are we gonna trash this whole thing and start over?
No.
no, I think we could even just say, how can we improve our city to better serve the needs of our of
any difficulties they encounter?
Or
oh
like,
yeah, or just for those who are differently abled or who have
this is where we need Aaron Smith.
cognitive or physical disabilities. Just not the word handicap.
Right.
Okay.
I'm gonna call.
Don't we call that now, though? I mean, isn't the proper word disabilities? Because that encompasses everybody, I thought.
Mhm.
So if we just said, if you have if you have disabilities.
Or
if
maybe
you
like if
have-
you or your household, in case you're a caretaker for someone who has a disability.
Right, if you or
What
your,
if you put down whether or not you're disabled, how can we improve our city to better serve?
And then you're going to get a whole wide variety of answers, not maybe things that are applicable to accessibility.
So if you or your caretaker have disabilities, how can we improve our city to better serve your needs?
I would say if you or someone in your household have a disability.
Someone, yeah.
Yeah. Do we have a Nextdoor account or do we have access to the city council's Nextdoor account?
I don't
The
know.
city can set up a Nextdoor account.
I don't know if that's ever been asked in any city setting that I've ever been in.
So Nextdoor does have an avenue for public agencies to have a Nextdoor account, and the
Okay.
city can set up a Nextdoor account. The only issue I would see with that is then we're gonna have to add that, anytime anything is published, it has to be archived for public records requests. So anything published on Nextdoor, including any comments that people might leave, would have to be archived. So before we move forward with that, I would need to check to make sure our current archiving software could also do Nextdoor.
All right, so can you all look at the rest of the questions and add, and let me know if there's any other questions you would like to add?
I think infrastructure, the word infrastructure confuses people. Because I think a lot of people, when you talk about infrastructure, they'll also say things like a grocery store, which is not infrastructure. You know, the infrastructure is like roads, water, sewer, and some of those are not necessarily. So if we want to include things about infrastructure, I think we need to clarify what we mean by infrastructure.
Put the word city in front of infrastructure, would that help?
No.
See, I see and I'm not a city worker, but I see infrastructure as stores.
And that is not infrastructure. It's not classified as
So what do
infrastructure.
we classify that as?
That is industry. So that would be under the business and industry in the next question.
Oh,
Yeah. So infrastructure are things that the city has control over and produces. So things like the roads, the water, the sewer, those are all infrastructure. We don't produce the grocery store, that's not something that the city taxes go into it.
Grid, it's the grid, it's the infrastructure.
Yeah.
And
Wouldn't it be helpful to just maybe just list those out instead of trying to find a suitable replacement? Because I feel like if we use a different word,
Mhm.
we might just end up with the same issues of people confusing it, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Because I would have confused it too. Like when she said groceries, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I think of when I think of
Yep.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
so why can't we ask this business and industry question again?
It's already going to be asked
By who again?
by Johnson Economics, who we've hired to do a market study. So it's a very scientific study that looks at market spend. They look at what people are looking for in the community. They look at the demographics of the community, and it'll give us a statistical thing that we can take, a report that we can take to these businesses to say, hey, look at, we have market spend that shows that people are spending this much on groceries within our community, and they're going to Sandy to do it. And so if you come in here, you'll have this much of a market for a grocery store. And so that's why we want to keep that within that survey so that it doesn't skew the results from the market study.
When will that be available to the public, or will it be available to the public?
Oh yeah, we're gonna publish it to the public. We just had a meeting this morning where we discussed the questions that are gonna be on the survey. So if you guys had questions you want to include on that survey, besides, what businesses and industry you would like to see brought, which is just very broad, that'll be included. But if you had specific questions, you can send them to me and I will forward them on to be included. That'd be great.
So are we sure that it's going to be this survey that they're doing is going to be, are they going to be reaching the whole community, or are they only going to be reaching the town of Estacada?
Well, the way we wrote the scope, the city is sharing the survey. So it's going to be reached out to the people that we send it to. So if we're sending it to everybody, say on your community groups list, that would be the same people that you're going to be reaching out to.
Right, but I'm thinking, I mean, once we're done with the HOAs, we should probably be meeting with some of these people like out in George and out in Garfield. You know, we get lost. People don't come out there and ask us questions. We
Yeah.
just feel like Estacade is just kind of going with it and we're getting lost in the dust.
Well, you know, and that's kind of why we were looking at the CPOs, right? Is that, and we can send that survey if Kimberly wants to send the contact information for those CPOs, we can send that survey to the CPOs to distribute to their members.
Quick question,
Yeah.
what's a CPO?
It's a community
Um.
Public
Planning.
planning organization. Yeah.
Organization.
And we
It's-
have those for
it's
outside Estacada.
Kind of like
It's kind of like an
the
HOA.
Grange almost. It's just a group of people who in unincorporated area who are creating government and sort of. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
we have the internet, never
I-
mind.
I don't know why I didn't.
CPO,
So
unincorporated.
maybe the second question could be something like, do you have any accessibility ideas or concerns that we can, that the city can improve to better serve your needs or something like that? No. I mean, I think that we remove the wordage of what is a sort of the ableist lens. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Um,
Say that again. Do you have any accessibility needs or concerns?
well, the needs gets you, I was trying to maintain the sort of second half of the sentence or the question, and not use needs twice.
Oh,
But I haven't quite hammered it out yet.
Going back to the survey, the market study that is happening, can this
Yes,
committee request to review the outreach
we're
plan
not
for
doing
that
this
survey?
Infrastructure one.
Oh,
Say that question again?
yeah, I can put that on your next agenda.
Can we request to review the outreach plan for the survey that the market study is doing?
Yeah.
So we can see who they're reaching and how they're doing it to make sure we're hitting those groups that we may be concerned about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can put it on your next agenda.
okay.
Yeah, that would be good because I'm not, as far as I know, I'm, I'm not included in any CPO. Is it CPO?
They reach a
CPO.
very, very specific demographic, which can be helpful in emergency management situations, but not usually great in other outreach situations.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, all my neighbors would not be.
No,
Nope.
they're a little of the don't tread on me type,
Yeah, most of mine are too.
as
Let's
in
see.
don't drive down my driveway.
Yeah. Kind of feel like we're missing a question about connection, like connection to resources, connection to other, like just getting people in the community connected to one another. Like
Mhm.
I know when I first moved here, that was my whole thing of, researching ways to get connected with people because we literally didn't know anybody or anything about Estacada. So I feel like maybe if we just ask, like, do you know how to get connected with other people in your community? Do you know how to
Or,
get connected with other people that you share things in common?
right, or
whether it
what
be
are your,
faith
like, what are
or-
your favorite ways, or what are your most meaningful ways to connect with people? And I'm more asking like the avenues rather than
Yeah.
like, I mean, because I think that, well, I mean, and then I think then the kind of responses you might get are art events or church or sporting events, or you know what I mean? And but I guess what are we trying also to, we trying to create a
I'm just
way
thinking
to
about,
connect?
do people feel included here?
Right.
And if you're not connected to other people that you share things in common with, then you don't feel
Mhm,
included.
mhm.
And so I guess that's the gist of what I feel like is maybe missing is we don't know if people are able to find their way to feel included here.
Right.
Like, nobody's here today. Do people even know that this is when we have these meetings? You know, because this is a great way to get connected to the
Right.
community.
Right.
So do you,
We need a welcome.
how do you want to say it, Nicole? Just spit it out there.
Well, like, I'm just throwing ideas out there, trying to figure out a way to word it, but
Do you know
you
how
know,
to
do you
connect
know
with
how to
your
connect with
community?
other people? You know, do you feel included? I guess maybe do you feel included here in this community could be a good starting point. You know, do you know, do you have ways of connecting with people in your community?
Okay, so do you feel included in your community? Does that cover it? Okay, maybe what we should do is continue to work on questions on our own and bring them to the next meeting. Because by then we'll have the HOA information and we can figure out kind of how we're gonna move forward. Does that sound good to everyone?
Yes.
Because we have some more things we gotta get through. Okay, so we're gonna table the community group outreach, well, I guess it should be essentially the survey that we're gonna have for the outreach. And we'll add that to our next agenda, the survey.
Were these questions crafted by,
Me,
okay, that's what I was wondering.
just me, and if we don't want to use any of them, it's okay. I just
No,
basically made it because I thought,
I'm just trying to get up to speed.
yeah, I thought it would be at least a good idea to get there, to get the council to say, yeah, okay, we like this, and, or we don't like this, we want it worded this way, so that we're essentially partnering with them.
Mhm.
And it's not a dissection of us doing one thing and they don't know about it, so,
Right.
okay.
And a little suggestion is maybe review the council goals, which are on the website, to look at, is there any
Right.
questions you might ask that would incorporate the council goals?
I actually did look at that, I think, before I did those questions, but yeah, I'm sure you guys can come up with a lot better than I can. Incorporate. Okay, and then the youth council update, did you, Mike, and Denise have anything to add about that?
I'm
And
still looking. I have asked several youth and, they're all with summer coming up and summer jobs and a lot of them graduation, because I'm asking the older youths, I'm getting goose egg.
Mhm.
You know, they're not wanting to do it.
During the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it might be something that we try and sort of construct or craft throughout the summer, and then try and maybe have some like, we just got in contact, the Arts Commission just got in contact with somebody in administration over at the high school who's actually willing to include some of our event information in the emails that they send out.
Mhm.
So maybe we can sort of share resources a little bit and say like, this is what we've constructed throughout the summer to try and launch in the fall for youth participation and the youth council and stuff like that. And then have enough traction with school admin that we can bring it to them, sort of public.
If I found a youth in the meantime, that'd be.
Oh, I think that's the jam, is that we try and find a kid.
How many kids are we looking for potentially?
So the council voted at their last meeting, and they added something to the code that says one non-voting youth member may be appointed to each advisory board for a term of 1 year. So if we're looking to add a youth member to each advisory board. That's what, 6 or 7 now.
Should, or could DEI be the body that sort of, for lack of a better word, advertises that,
It would be 6.
you know, on the city's behalf? And we say that
Yeah.
It's
the
inclusion. right?
DEIC would like to tell you about an opportunity to participate in city government, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if Erin had sent over the samples from other communities before she left.
I don't know.
Because some of the other cities that we looked at, they'll have like a liaison, a youth liaison each committee, but then they'll get all of the youth liaisons will get together on a regular basis, whether it's monthly or quarterly, to kind of connect and, talk about what they learned from each committee.
That's cool. So, does our high school have a government class?
That's what I was just getting ready to.
Yeah.
to say.
And the council said 7th through 12th grade, so that could also incorporate the
Middle school.
middle school, yeah.
That's a good idea. So does anyone on this committee have some child that might be on a government class in the fall?
I
You
mean,
know?
my 8th grader is on student council, but they don't seem to do as much as I remember student council doing, when I was in high school or whatever. And he'll be a freshman next year. So, yeah, and he's definitely like, a leader or somebody who's not,
Mhm.
shy. So we could throw him into that.
I have a question. What kind of conversations are they going to participate in?
I mean, personally, I think that one thing that's missing from the sort of community health conversation is what kind of experiences the students are having at the schools in Estacada. I mean, I know there's always a handful of issues when you're in school, but I think that there's some larger things that fall into the lens of what DEI's objective is, at least as it pertains to the city of Estacada and what we're trying to address.
Mhm.
That we could ask, and I think that's what we do is, I think our best role is to show up and listen to people. So if kids have concerns, which I'm sure they do, then maybe we can sort of be the vessel to relay that to the city council, because I think that, I mean, city council's busy, so they don't.
Yeah, we would need to pick a youth who's willing to go to their peers and ask their peers, that's stuff around their peers to bring back.
Well,
It
yeah.
can't be just that youth experience.
Right, but I mean, like, if there's a youth council,
Mhm.
and I mean, I'm assuming that they, when I was in school, anything that we could do to like get out of class as a typical class structure, we were like, oh, there's a panel meeting today to talk about concerns on campus for XYZ. You're like, yeah, cool, get me out of here. I don't want to do my homework right now. So yeah, I mean, it's just mechanically, I think it's a larger endeavor than it sounds like. But I definitely think that it's worthwhile. It might take us the remainder of the year to adequately assemble and deploy.
Would a student that is technically houseless and trying to navigate that with the high school, would that be somebody that would be a good?
I mean, I think that that's probably one of the most impactful things for a young person that needs to be considered, that needs to be, whatever resources and whatever information we can. Yes, is the answer to your question. That's extremely relevant.
This person is popular with their peers
Mhm.
and I think they would be interested.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that also too, if I don't really know a lot about the social dynamics at EHS, but I think that if there's a couple kids that are motivated and sort of leaders that can anchor some kind of a project like this, that's really that's where you start, you know?
Mhm.
And I do want to say we're not limiting it to kids who are enrolled in Estacada High School because we do have a pretty large homeschool community.
Okay.
And then we also have Timberlake Job Corps, which has minors who are attending out there. And so they can also apply to serve in any of the positions that are the council created. So, or in the youth council.
Contact job.
Yeah, we went out to their tour of their facility with the chamber like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was
Out in Springdale or what?
the right up.
24.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, the fire wiped
Ripple
them out
Brook.
and they built back and, yeah,
Yeah.
it's 52 miles that way.
oh,
wow.
whoa, that's way up.
it is.
Okay, that's
Yeah, I
cool.
asked if they had adequate internet access because I know it can be kind of hard for some people to get down here from up there.
Yeah.
And so they can attend via Zoom
Cool.
if
That's
they need
cool.
to. Yeah.
So are we communicating, is the city communicating with these youth like at Summit? Are they communicating with that school so that they know they can apply?
Yeah, we haven't put out the application yet, but
Okay.
yeah, that's in our plans too. Yeah. I
Cool.
know Melanie serves on the board for Summit, so we've certainly got a connection.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's cool. Is she a homeschooler person?
The city manager?
Mhm.
No, I mean, her kids are not in she's got one kid left in school, so
Oh, okay.
she might have been at some point. I don't know anymore though.
Okay. All right. My son graduated from there, so I have high regards for that school. Okay, so, so that's basically, Elena wanted to update us on the new stuff on the youth council.
Yeah, so the city council wants to go ahead with like right now, putting out that application for the youth to serve, and that would be a single liaison position on each committee, each advisory committee, which doesn't include council or budget or planning commission, because those are not advisory, those are legislative or quasi judicial bodies.
Okay.
So it'd be like, how many kids?
Do you
Five?
already have that job description ready to go?
I do not, nope.
So
But
that,
if they could send it to us when we ask someone, do you have a youth, we could send that to. them.
Yes, definitely.
so that would be maybe what, 5 kids then on the advisor?
6.
6, okay.
Yeah, so 6 kids, one on each committee.
And then would they be meeting, as Mike said, maybe meeting as a group periodically?
Well, I think that is kind of where your guys' youth council would come in. Is
Oh,
that
okay.
something that you guys want to be the organizers? Because council just thought that the youth could be a seat on each committee and give that committee feedback. Now,
Okay.
do you guys want to organize like a quarterly meeting among all of them where you bring them together to talk?
Right, that's, yeah, I mean, can we just sort of coalesce those things as in if, let's say they seat 6 kids as liaisons, then we can reach out and be like, hey, let's crew down and see what we can figure out. And that could be sort of a foundation of building a larger youth council, you think? Can we sort of commingle those things
Yeah,
between, okay, wonderful. That would be probably our simplest strategy almost. Okay.
Okay, so how do we proceed with that then as far as what are you wanting us to, or do you want us to talk more about this next month
Who's
then?
writing the application for the kids?
probably me.
Who does everything that happens at the city? Probably you, probably you. Okay, do you need like input or? I
If
mean,
if you have like sample forms you want to send over to
Okay.
me, or if you have language, you can email me.
I mean, I can't imagine that.
I think our idea right now is that we would just pretty much use the same form
Okay.
that the regular committee applicants, but have a checkbox that says I'm applying for a youth commission,
Cool.
youth committee position.
That's,
Go
Sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Are we going to ask how they feel they can most help? And what way?
So each committee has selected questions in relation to their committee that they feel like best apply to their committee application. So yeah, it could be, how do you feel like you help fulfill the goals of this committee? Or, I think the library has some specific questions about reading on it. So, that each committee has specific questions on their application that are applicable to the purpose of their committee.
So they'll just be filling out, like for our committee, if there was a youth that wanted to sit on our committee, they'd fill out the same application we did.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially.
Any other questions you guys have?
Does each committee pick their youth representative, or who does sorry if I missed it, I had to step away real quick.
No, we haven't decided on that. I mean, what we have done for regular committee, and the council hasn't said to do this any differently, is that when there is a application for the committee, then if there's multiple applications, or even if there's just a number of vacancies, they come before the committees and the committees make a recommendation to council. And the council has not said any differently, that would not be the process that we would use for these youth. So unless we need to clarify that with council, that's what I imagine would be the process going forward.
So any other comments about number D that anyone has, concerns?
No, I think that, I mean, it seems like it's kind of set in motion and we just sort of watch to see how it develops and then.
Yeah, just to
Um,
note that I at least am very interested in the job description so that I can give it to the youth.
Yes.
When I ask them, because they're gonna say, what am I gonna be doing? I'll be able to answer them.
Yeah, Denise is right, because some people who have a certain kind of disability really need a structured
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah.
So they don't try to fill in the spaces if they're not good at reading it, the situation.
Okay, I think Denise is taking number E, right?
The-
Oh, yeah, I- Okay, so, I forgot who brought it to my attention, but, it's been discussed in a minor way that, I don't know how to say this. You just blindsided me, Tammy.
Sorry.
I was thinking about ice cream and here you come up with, okay.
Sorry.
So I think a good project for a committee would be an anti-drug campaign. I think that I've been looking at it. There are a lot of really good youth campaigns out there. I think it would be better to get started at the level of the adults, at the level of the parents. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I was in high school, that's where you got all your stuff to get high with. Your parents' liquor cabinet, their medicine cabinet. Now that cannabis is legal, I know there are people going to sleep with the remains of their enjoyment of the evening in their ashtray and getting up in the morning and not checking to see if that's still there. Things like that, because there's things that you can be, that we can do, that people can do to lower the availability to minors who are under 21 and can't walk in and buy it themselves. And there are plenty of good ones for the youth too, but I think that is a good thing for us to focus on. If we could focus on educating the adults on, signs to look for, ways to talk to your youth, ways to keep them from getting stuff, why it really is so harmful to buy your kid a beer or buy a strange kid a beer outside a liquor store. It's not just that it's illegal. It's like, you don't know what they want it for. They might be an addict already. That kind of thing.
I'm just a little excited because once that man reached out to the DEIC with, I didn't, we got an email that said his son or daughter had passed away. Is
Mhm.
that correct?
Yeah,
I started really researching some of the stuff we could do. And I came up with maybe some stuff I don't know, like an outline,
okay,
if you guys would be interested,
yeah. Yeah, so
have it.
do we have time to go into it
Shaking
today,
her.
or do we need to schedule like an interim meeting to go over it, just that subject? Or do you want to just work, not have a quorum and just Shannon, you and I work together? I'd be willing to do that.
I wanted to be able to pass these out or have them send an email so that my ideas might get to everybody without breaking quorum.
Pass them out, yeah. Sure, pass them down.
Well done.
And then whatever you guys come up with, what if when we meet with the HOAs, what if that's one of our presentations to the HOA before we give them the survey? We go there with a presentation and then at the end,
Yeah,
give
I
them the
was,
survey.
yeah, I was thinking that if we could introduce it with a sort of a town hall approach.
Mhm.
Or at the next town.
Or
hall?
at the next town hall if they'll let
There,
us.
May 20th or something like that, there's one. And this is essentially sort of parallel to like firearm safety, you know what I mean? Of
Just
just,
safety.
it's just sort of common sense and practical.
It's an esticator.
Printer.
There was a guy that was actually doing a class for parents and children about gun safety.
Mhm.
And I believe he had posted it in the Esticators locals group.
We could ask any of the gun and rod clubs around here
Yeah.
for someone
Well,
to
I thought
come
that
talk
was
about.
pretty awesome, especially living in such a rural area where a lot of people just have their guns sitting out and available. It's not.
I
protected or
mean,
put away. Yeah,
I've been in those households and it's more common than not.
It is,
Yeah.
it is, because people don't understand that, you know, like my guns are locked up. I have a gun safe, but she goes to other people's houses and they're not, you know? And with teens, the danger isn't that they're gonna go rob a bank. The danger is that they're gonna get really depressed one day.
or they're just playing with it.
For
We
10
had a lot of
minutes.
CPS cases like that,
Mm.
run for CPS where
Mhm,
a child shoots another child because
mhm,
I
The
see it
gun was
almost
left.
every day.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
very.
So I would propose that the drug education campaign would be called It Stops With You. I'm open to anything else. That's just what I came up with.
So I do want to say, because it's printed paper, Kimberly can't see. I mean, we'll email it to her
Here,
if
here,
Shannon.
see?
Yeah, if Shannon wants to
Oh.
email it to me, we
Okay.
can email it to her later. But if you're going to discuss anything that's on that sheet of paper in the meeting, please read it out loud so she knows what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Do we know-
apologize. Oh, sorry.
Do we know what the schools are doing around this? So we don't have competing or contradictory, or they're not doing anything, or just curious.
I know they're not doing anything for the adults.
Well, I know my kids had some type of presentation that was done at some point during the school year because they came home and talked about it. Not exactly for sure on all of the details. I just know my kids came home and they were like, we talked about saying no to drugs and alcohol today and, you know, those types
Yeah,
of
like
things.
the
So,
Red Ribbon Week, typical
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah, that's probably what it was.
I mean, I think the other thing too, and I'm sure that this is included in curriculum because your elementary school kids and I got a middle schooler and, you know, they sort of ratchet up the seriousness of the issues. But, you know, by the time this kind of awareness and education goes to high school, I think that it's our family strategy is to be extremely candid and honest about how serious this stuff is. And I think that like I'm glad that your focus is fentanyl because with all due respect, you know, like we all probably grew up around beer and weed and nobody died. I mean, other than from drunk driving accidents, which happen
Yeah.
every year. But I think that just sitting next to something like fentanyl is sort of it's much more serious.
Well, I've done I don't want to say done my research. I've read a lot. And I do have some material that I can share with the committee that there are newer, more updated ways of approaching youth and honesty and credulity is a big part of it.
Mhm.
Parental involvement is another big part of it.
Right.
So I think a good part of the program that I would like to get started, or the outreach I'd like to get started, is teaching parents how to talk to their kids about it. Because
Right.
just say no does not work when your dad is sitting there smoking a doobie on the couch next to you, you know? They need to be, just educated the way we would want our young teens to be educated.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think your idea about going with the parents first is smart because some of the parents are not educated
Right.
and they're not sophisticated enough to understand signs and symptoms of some of these newer
Yep.
drugs that we didn't grow up with.
Mm.
I didn't grow up with fentanyl. And so, and even living in Texas, it wasn't that big of a deal, but we moved here and then all of a sudden we're bombarded
Yep.
with this word fentanyl. And it's like, what is this? So when we did parenting classes in February with Todos Juntos, and they gave us like whatever it is that you use to reverse the effects of
Narcan.
Narcan. That's what it is. They gave us like little extra ones just to carry with us because you see it on the street
You
when
might
you're out
need
in
it,
Portland
yeah.
and you just never know.
Right.
And you need to be taught how to use that and what it's for, because it will work for opioids only.
Oh.
It does not work for meth. It doesn't work for any other thing you can think of. It works for opioids only.
Are we talking about the naloxone?
Yeah.
Naloxone, yeah, Narcan.
And so again,
Clackamas County came and did a presentation for staff. So for like our public works staff who are
Mm.
out and
And
stuff.
just
And
for
they
general
they can do that for you guys too, if
Yeah.
that's something that you want to do, they'd be willing
And
to
just for
do.
general information to anyone who is listening, you can go on YouTube and find out how to do it. You can go on YouTube to find out how to do that and how to use an EpiPen, which I discovered is not, there's actually steps to it. Yeah.
I think that would be great, like any kind of county outreach training that could give us more skills, and then and like you're saying, it sounds like Todos Juntos is already addressing this kind of thing, and maybe
Yeah,
we
like I
just-
said, it was just in our parenting class, but it was a small class. So
Mhm.
obviously just impacting a small amount of people. But it feels like this could be something a little bit more large scale
Mhm.
where we could really get that information out, especially to the teenagers, because they're the ones
Right.
that really are in the thick of it. And if
Right.
they don't know about this or how to use it, then we're really in trouble.
I mean, I have a friend who lost his son who was 15 at school. Yeah, and I mean, he lives in the community and he could be somebody that could sort of come and talk about his experience in the family, and then, do the whole thing where it's like, this is a parent, this is the impact, this is the risk, this is the solution, I guess. I mean, or, yeah, I mean, what do you call this? Emergency. Well, I mean, but also, I mean, it's like when you go to college, they're also just Narcan, everybody has it in their
Yeah.
purse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like a new way of living or
I-
something.
I don't think it's available or accessible to everyone in the community. It's
Right.
very expensive,
Right.
It's very
like
expensive.
$80 or I think
$50 at Fred Meyer.
$50.
Get it at Fred Meyer. for 50
Do
bucks.
they
I
like
didn't even
have
know you
it
could get it at
at the
Fred Meyer.
school?
Yeah, do they have it in the public buildings?
That's what I'm wondering.
Ant Farm has it.
I'm concerned about that. What if somebody went
We
down
have
and
it,
like the
our
grocery
public
store?
works have it on their,
Okay.
in their vehicles and in the building. So if they encounter somebody, say, because we do see people who are, on the,
Oh, yeah.
front step
Mhm.
at the bus stop.
Is this like
yeah.
a school board? Like if we were gonna go ask these questions at the school, because have been, deaths at school or whatever, is this something we can go ask the administration, or we ask the school board, or how does that work,
So what is the ask?
Do you have Narcan on site?
Yeah, you can email the school district right now and ask if they have it on site.
Gotcha.
If your ask is, will you carry this? Will you do this training for your staff? That's probably going to be more of a school board
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all of these sort of one-line ideas are also extremely complex, issues.
So I propose that whomever, I don't know how many of you would want to meet and discuss what we would present, but I'm fine with not being a part of that and having the parts of the committee doing like a little subcommittee, like Denise suggested. I think that's a great idea. Will be more efficient and,
Yeah, be faster.
so, maybe Denise, if you want to, since this was kind of your brainstorm, which I think is a fantastic
Mhm.
brainstorm.
Mhm.
Maybe you be the lead on this and whoever wants to be a part of the,
I care about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
can just
Want me to include you on the email?
partner with Denise. How's that?
I'm sorry, did someone ask me a question because I was busy talking?
No, we just said anybody that wants to be a part of the
Yeah,
conversation. or-
anybody that wants to be a part of that conversation, if there's someone out there listening right now and they think they have some good input, contact me or us.
Yeah.
anyone.
Absolutely.
I'd be happy to work with the community too. If there's someone out there who knows more than I do, yay, come teach me.
Mm-hmm. And then when we come back to the next meeting, maybe if you could have something to
An
present.
outline?
Yeah, like an
Okay.
outline, that'd be great. So
Okay.
we'd know when we go to meet with the HOAs, how much time you'd need to present whatever it is, and yeah,
Got it.
so we'll add that to the next agenda as well, Elena, and
In Kimberly, can you get the CPO contact or sort of like, I mean, it's like what, Eagle Creek and Springwater, or I guess that's just Barton. Yeah,
And there's one in Redland, I think.
there you go. Redland,
there should be
Yeah.
one in Garfield,
right.
maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll pull the list.
yeah, I'd be interested in going to, I'm kind of like I like going to the Granges too, so I'm interested in checking the CPO thing too.
Can you share that with all of us, or maybe hand it off to Elena and she can send it out to us? Cause I too I'd love to join my local, whatever it is out there. All right, so anybody else, any comments on number E? If not, thank you to Denise and everyone else that wants to help with that. I think that's a great goal and project to get that going. Any public comments, Elena? One on the,
There's no one online.
okay, any commissioners want to comment about anything that we haven't already mentioned?
I did reach out to Maria at LEDIC, the Leaders for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion at Clackamas County. They have managed to survive the dismantling of the DEI department, so they're still up and running and offered any resources, or if they wanted to connect with them and see what they're working on, or just connect doing over this kind of work.
What's the name of the organization?
It's a commission in Clackamas County. It's Leaders for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Council. They're an advisory board to the Clackamas County Commissioners.
Is it actually the same group that just sort of rebranded, or is
No.
it a different, okay.
Nope.
Okay. Could we take like a field trip and go check them out or something?
Yeah, I'll connect with, I'm gonna have coffee with Maria on Wednesday and kind of see what they're up to and what our options are, but I can bring that back to the next meeting.
Cool, that sounds awesome.
That'd be great. Yep.
Yeah, as much networking and sort of also education as we can provide ourselves.
Yep.
I think it's a great idea.
So add that maybe Elena to the next meeting. She can talk to us about what she finds out with Maria. Sounds like a good plan.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Are we, do we have any attempt, or will we make an attempt to, have better transparency with the public? Because there's a lot of misinformation, whether it's, made up or not, like they don't know.
About us or
Mm.
about who?
About our goals.
Oh,
Right.
They don't understand. And I was wondering if we could or would publish maybe a summary of our goals on the government site.
they're on our site,
They're on
aren't
the-
they?
Well, our annual goals are posted and we actually just went and presented those to like city council, but I mean, you're talking also just about sort of people's
Yeah.
overall opinion
It
of,
might not sway certain people's opinion,
Right.
but the people that they are misinforming, maybe, or the people that they're misinforming. But I was wondering if we could do like a monthly update on our goals. So they know what we're talking about, or if we could give them a heads up, so maybe they want to come to the meetings.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, could we have our own Facebook page that is obviously vetted and you're ready to throw stuff at you?
Oh.
So in order.
Well, no, I mean, because
The answer is not, the answer isn't no. You could have your own Facebook page. Here's the thing. If you're gonna have your own Facebook page, it has to completely go through staff, but you
Right.
have to create all the content.
Mhm. I mean, I think what Shannon's point is really valid as far as just sort of like public perspective.
Yeah, and
Um,
you guys have complete, editorial control over what is listed on the city's website for you.
Okay.
If you guys want to change anything that's on there, you can write something up and we can discuss it and edit it and change it at the next meeting.
Or maybe even have like what's new with the DEI, you know what I mean, or something that's just
Yes.
like a
So,
Sort of
so
a
one
summary
thing that,
newsletter almost.
yeah, we,
Right.
the city does do an e-newsletter. So if you want to include information in the city's e-newsletter, you can send that to me.
Is that monthly?
We do it at least once a month. Sometimes it's
Okay.
twice a month. It
Okay.
depends on how much information there is. And then something that the DEC does that you guys might be interested in is they send out a press release to the newspaper once a month that covers things that the DEC is doing that month.
Okay.
So if that's something you guys would have to write that content. So this is, you're adding more to your plate, but that's something that you totally can do.
Someone could take that on.
No, I like that, because I think that rather than just being, sort of on our heels or in a defensive position, always having to react to people's misconceptions about what we're trying to do, that if we had some kind of, something that we were sharing and be a little bit more proactive about what information, there you go. That's exactly it.
People can share the link.
We
I mean,
did,
Right.
we did
whoever.
change quite a bit on our page.
Right.
Remember when we went back and yeah, so I don't know if you guys have looked at our page recently, but I went through it and asked Elena to change quite a bit and re-verbiage things.
Right.
So,
It'd be really nice if we could get some engagement at our meetings.
yeah, well, we need to start having our meetings. And so I think once we get this survey and presentation.
Town
And
hall's gonna be a thing. I mean,
Yeah.
they're sort of small, but it's also a very relevant place. Again, I think it's a lot about just exposure. And I mean, Esticate is so small. You've been here years, like you just know everybody's face, even if you don't know their name. So I think that going and just showing up and being like, hi, I'm so-and-so.
Yeah.
I'm with the DEI.
right.
Is
That-
that the city or is that just a personal?
This one's gonna be the city, I think. There's
one?
there's been a couple different incarnations of town hall. It is on the 20th.
Yes, yeah. Mhm.
Um,
The city council is holding a town hall on the 20th.
Where is it
Yeah,
going to be?
it might be here unless
It's
it gets
going to be
big.
here. We haven't had much, we've had like 8 people RSVP.
Oh, okay.
But you know how people go with RSVPing, so.
Because it would be nice to assure people who are directly asking for our help that something's being done towards what they're asking for.
Do we know the gentleman specifically that referenced the DIC when he was talking about his kid?
The guy at the city council meeting,
Yeah.
he comes to every single, Mr. McEnany,
Oh,
Yeah, that
he
was,
comes to every single city council meeting, and
But-
it wasn't his kid that he was talking
Okay,
about. He was just
okay.
talking about a child in the
Okay.
community.
I got you.
Yes.
and the other packet I handed out was because I had another person come to me and say, could you guys work on making like stuff more accessible through whatever you can do?
for disability.
Yeah, because I don't know if the businesses are forced through ADA like policies to do certain things, but maybe we could get around that by Chamber of Commerce.
Well, I think, I mean, code plays into that a little bit, but also like, isn't that part of the infrastructure improvement out here? With new curbs and wider sidewalks and stuff like that?
Yeah,
and
for
lighting?
ADA accessibility.
So yeah, pretty much that would be going down like a specific list of
Mhm.
sort of like I mean, one of the things that got addressed was like the bike path or the walking path at phase 3 is just loose gravel, not loose gravel, but packed gravel, and it doesn't really work for chairs or like motorized
there's
stuff.
not. It's
Um,
not really great for us walking people either. Not our fellas a bunch of times.
yeah, we're gonna start a GoFundMe for pavement.
Not everybody can afford that because your disability checks aren't very
Right.
large and your retirement checks aren't very large. So you don't get a lot and those things can cost
Oh, are you?
800.
So are you talking about like building ramps for people who need accessibility at their houses?
Whatever on new infrastructure and helping to tidy up old infrastructure, maybe?
I mean,
Because like city infrastructure, if there's areas where we're missing, because there are areas, especially in older areas, where we're missing, say, the ADA ramps, or it's missing sidewalks, that's something that you can always tell us. I know we're starting to build like a map that shows where it's missing, and then we can do grant writing for improving those. Like last summer, we did some uptown ADA ramps up near the school, up kind of Broadway and Main. So if you bring it to our attention, it might take a while because it's not cheap.
Right.
But it's something that if it's brought to our attention, we can put it on our maps, and then we could do grant writing for like the sidewalks and the infrastructure. Now, if you're talking about people's homes, okay, that's something that's a lot harder.
I was also gonna say something about supports, like the grocery store. I feel should have something like mobility support, like maybe they just have a wheelchair. Because we go to Sandy and we went to Weimar and they provide a wheelchair if you
Mhm.
need it. Maybe we can convince them. I'm not sure if we can, like, I'm not sure. I don't think it's a coded thing, but maybe it is.
I don't know either.
No, the code would be like they just have to be ADA accessible within a reasonable accommodation.
They probably
Yeah, so
don't
that has to
be.
do with things like the size of the aisles and things are required in code, but
Okay.
having a wheelchair is not required in
Yeah.
code. But it's certainly something that you could start like a letter writing campaign to the like district manager or something and say, hey, this is something the community needs. Here's all the
Yeah.
people who have said this would be useful to them. You know, something
Yeah.
like that can carry a lot of weight with these businesses.
Okay.
and that might also be a good overlap if you like, or if you have awareness of specifics that people need, traffic and safety are really good about inventorying all of the sort of
Yeah.
oversights.
Okay. I don't know a lot about traffic and safety. but guess
I mean,
can
that's one of
learn.
the commissions that is they're doing like the audio crosswalk, and they're
Oh,
getting a
yeah.
bunch of signs put in and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. So they had a extremely extensive annual report to the city council. It was very impressive. It was a hard act to follow.
Yeah, that was.
It's like,
So I think a lot of people maybe with disabilities they just aren't aware that they should be going to these committees and telling them what they
Right.
need maybe.
Yeah.
So,
And again, maybe that can be one of the bullet points of sort of how do you get things addressed in your community? These are ways of
Yeah.
participating with the city and getting your needs heard and then met.
Like in the
Uh,
monthly little
mhm.
blurb.
Mhm.
we could also have it on our survey.
Yeah.
Do you have any needs that, and I think it was, do you have any needs that are currently not being met that we can?
Do
meet?
they have any kind of sensory equipment at any of the playgrounds?
What do you mean like sensory equipment?
No, I don't think
I can
so.
look it up, but like for people, no.
I don't-
Or like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm
It's
shocked
it's
about.
more for typical children than
Mhm.
for those with any type of disability.
You might check out, I know they put in the new playground at Gardner, and I don't know what kind of equipment you're talking about, but I know they did some
Gardner,
up Gardner Park.
where's that?
It's a
Uh,
newer one.
It's
I
a,
remember when they released the information about it.
yeah, it's a little park. It's just a little community
I
park, but
gotcha.
with the Parks and Rec, they reviewed they wanted to make the equipment more inclusive there. So I don't know what kind of equipment you're looking for specifically, but maybe go check it out and see if that fulfills the kind of things that you're looking for.
Maybe at first, just the simple things that like.
Like the wheelchair accessible swings, for
Okay.
example. I think they might have one over at River Mill, but I'm not even for sure if it's there.
Or play equipment that's accessible to.
Right.
Mhm.
I know a lot of times they have to do like special grants because
Well,
that equipment
wanna
is so
do
very expensive.
Parks with me.
Yeah.
Because they're like that's the way to do it, is we bring that to them and just sort of open up another avenue of
Over there when they meet.
Yeah,
fourth Wednesday of the month.
Okay, there you go.
I just looked that up.
otherwise those kids are just sitting there in their chair watching everybody else.
Right. Right.
Mhm. Right.
All right, I have a jujitsu pickup in 5 minutes.
Yep, it is 6:20. Does anyone else have anything else that they need to share before we sign off?
Is everybody in on the group messaging so that if I message someone about us getting together, are you on the group
I don't
messaging?
know, they have to look. What's the number?
Tammy
message
DEIC.
Yeah,
Oh, no, when I text you guys, I text you singly so that I'm not breaking rules.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
but
So,
if you want to, you can email Tammy.
Yep.
And you can give her your phone number and she can add you to her list so she can text you.
well, I text everybody. Everybody here has my text number. So if you guys text me and you want someone else's cell number, I can send that to you. So,
Is that
That'll
the
work.
one For the site?
No.
How do
No.
we have a list?
nope,
Do we get a list?
I can text
You
it
don't want
to you if
everybody
you
in
text me.
Acadia to have your phone number.
Yeah,
Oh, I know. Okay, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I was like, I don't think so.
I can text it to
But
you.
I
You
don't
want
know
her to
how to,
anybody.
I don't know
Yeah,
how to.
anything that
text
goes
somebody
on the
if I don't
website
know the
becomes
number.
public information.
Right.
And if you don't want people to have your cell phone, then
Yeah.
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 You
So just
don't
text
put it on
me
the
and I can
website.
text you guys whoever's numbers you want.
Then you can connect with each other to have your session before coming
Yeah,
at
if
the
we
next
can do
meeting.
this soon instead of like the day before the next meeting. that would be
Yeah.
Okay.
good,
Yep,
so.
I'll text Shannon right now.
Oh,
Okay.
we have it.
So
So
are we
I'm
ready
signing
to
off.
wrap up the meeting?
Yep,
Yep.
I'm signing off the meeting at 6:22.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Elena.
Thank you.